I met a gypsy.
My personal career, how I run all my businesses, how I ran my race team. I mean, dude, I was the one there giving Ken Roczen a beer. Like, fuck you guys. This dude just worked his ass off, won a championship. He's a grown-ass man. He can enjoy a couple of beers or whatever that might be. You know, and I think that's just where the heart and soul, not from an alcohol standpoint, but like the heart and soul has kind of been sucked out of action sports due to political correctness and social media and always being on your best behavior. And I really wish, and I'm going to kind of start beating up on Fox about this a little bit, but I think people are kind of looking for that resurgence of, I could be totally off, but me and my old standpoint, like I think it'd be awesome to go out and do a new terra firma and go spend 12 months filming. And yeah, cool. Like you don't have to get the double flips and the triple flips, but do the road trips with like all the iconic guys, you know, get Roczen and Carmichael out for a trip and like maybe me and Twitch and, you know, getting back to that roots of, because it wasn't the riding that had you guys stoked on Krusty. I mean, it was cool. It was rad crashing and big dune jumps or whatever, but it was the partying and the lifestyle and being in a van and like, you know, being like, feeling like you're in the passenger seat of, you know, going through Peru or going through Brazil or, you know, whatever that situation might be. It's getting back to the lifestyle of it. I mean, why do people sit here and listen to podcasts? They can't even see it. And if they do see it, it's just two guys sitting at a table, but they want to feel like they're involved with something. And I feel like that's a huge piece missing in, I mean, action sports in general, but specifically motocross. I mean, that's why Ken is such a fucking rock star, because you hear him in interviews. Fuck everybody. He don't care. As long as he's doing his work during the week and doing what he's supposed to do on the weekends and winning races and going after championships, fuck everybody.
Dude, what a fucking kid he is. Like, did you enjoy the couple years working with him? Like, it'd be hard not to enjoy being around that guy. Yeah,
well, that was the cool thing. Me and Ken were friends before we were work relationship, and you know, we were friends for quite a few years. We have the same management company, and you know, and when we got together, you know, I kind of gave him the speech. I said, okay, look, you know, here's our friendship. We're gonna set this over here, and then we're gonna work. And then when the clock ticks, we can go back to being friends, and we can pick up this glass. And you know, I mean, look, it's always tough. I think it's probably tougher for Ken because he saw a side of me that wasn't always fun Carey. It was business Carey. But I think he respected me, and I know he respected Carmichael, and he respected the whole program. And look, we had ups and downs like any program does with, you know, whether Ken with Honda now or Eli Tomac with Cowie or anybody else, it's part of the machine. But in the end, I think to go through the path that we went down, I mean, he's a young kid. He was 20 when he came and rode for us. Yeah, it's already won a championship, you know, and not many 20-year-olds know what they want, what they do, they don't want. But to go through the course that we went through, the highs and the lows, and to end it on winning a championship, you can't really be mad at that. And to this day, it's never affected mine and his relationship. We still text back and forth all the time. He just came to my wife's show a couple of months ago, and I'll tell you what, if he was going to go out and have a beer, I'd probably be the first person he'd call. Yeah. So, and I think too, like, I was involved in the JDR team, which was really running in parallel with you guys. Very similar era, I guess, privately funded, which was quite similar. And then that manufacturer support. Like, there's so much detail that goes on behind the scenes. Like, even Suzuki brings out a bike with air forks. Ken's got to run air forks. Ken doesn't like air forks. His performance isn't as good. That's a reflection on the team. Yeah. It's like there's so many things that are out of your control, they're out of Ken's control, and they're things that you can't say in the moment to the average fan. Like, hey man, these forks are actually a piece of shit. Yeah. We have to run them. Yeah. Ken doesn't like them. We're kind of fucked. Yeah. So it's like, but you can't say that because you're in that you're in that world. Well, but look, here's the reality. I mean, you can look at racing as whatever it is, but we're not curing cancer. And at the end of the day, what we're doing, we're entertainment and we're selling products for people. Yeah. So same thing with NASCAR. I mean, you think, you know, some racer on the track's going to say, you know, fucking McDonald's sucks and it gave me diarrhea. That's my fucking team sponsor. Like, it doesn't work that way, you know? So, you know, there's a perception and then there's a reality behind closed doors, and it's just part of racing, part of competing. Dude, what you guys did, like, the Hart and Huntington team that had fucking stripper poles in the pits. And then how many years removed was it until you won the 450 AMA Motocross Championship with Carey Hart and Ricky Carmichael, who are way more similar than people think. Yeah. But in terms of like the perceived opposites, it was just like, doosh, everyone's minds got blown. But it's like, to take it from that black and white,
like, were you on Cowie first? Was that the first?
We started on Honda. Started on Honda.
Okay.
Went to Cowie, then to Suzuki.
So it's like, what a trip to do that. And I mean, just the effort that I know that it takes to run the team for a person in your position in life to just not have to do that. I think it really showed like your passion for the sport.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy fucking, just to come from stripper poles to Ken Roczen winning a national.
Yeah.
That's a crazy ride, dude.
We had a 10-year run from year one to our last year winning or actually not winning the championship with Ken, but the next year with Brock and Bogle. But it was a 10-year run. And we basically, we got into this thing at that time. Really, my focus was, aside from my personal riding career, was my tattoo business and more so the clothing business at that time. And, at that time, freestyle motocross guys were making a shit ton of money, myself included. And we were a small business and we weren't really set up to be able to go sponsor a bunch of marquee freestyle athletes or a bunch of athletes in general. And I'd been itching really to get back into the race world. I kind of had a chip on my shoulder about how I left racing, myself and Metzger and Deegan, a lot of guys kind of got forced out of racing. But luckily enough, we went on to do freestyle motocross and that was successful. But I definitely had a chip on my shoulder about motocross and I wanted to get back in it and kind of show that, some tattooed scumbag that kind of got shunned out of racing can come back and do something. So when we got back into it, it was myself and Kenny Watson that really started the program. And, for the first handful of years, it was a smoke show, literally, because when I went into it, I knew we were going to be working with riders, and no offense to them, but because of what we were paying, we weren't even paying these guys. We were just taking them racing. So from that standpoint, our goal was to make mains, and we knew that, okay, if we weren't going to win on the track, we had to win off the track. Exactly, and we were going to win in the pits. And and those were the days when, when you would walk through a supercross pit in those days, it was all business. And, at best case scenario, you could stand in line for an hour and get an autograph, but you go back in the stadium. There was no atmosphere in the pits. There was no excitement. It was very, very, there was no music. It was extremely dry. And that's the one thing I'm kind of proud about because
now it's a lot different.
Now it's a party,
fucking tundras.
Exactly. And, Monster has their big old, moving stage and DJs and, and every team is now activating from some standpoint. And it's brought a lot of excitement to racing because before that, that's how we won. And we were literally bringing people through our truck and where at that time it was nope, you got to stay back. You can only get an autograph and we don't want you even looking over here and don't look at our bikes. We were bringing people through and we had Rockstar as a sponsor and we were doing Rockstar beer pong. So people could come into our truck and be under the canopy and play Rockstar Pong and listen to music and you
guys had DJs and shit.
We had guest
Kenny
DJs
was on the mic.
Yeah, we had guest DJs coming through. My buddies from Cottonmouth Kings would come through and DJ and different people and without knowing it, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've foreseen the future, but at that time that was before creating content was really a thing yet. That was before data collecting was a thing yet. And we would have people come through. And at that point, we're kind of well, let's start getting everybody's email information so we can start sending email blasts out. So we started that. And then we went from pen and paper to actually using iPads and collecting data. And what a lot of people don't know is as we were a smoke show and we evolved this thing, we signed all of our major contracts before Kenny came along and we lost them while Kenny was winning the championship because that machine caught up. Meaning where take Jimmy John's Sandwich Shop, okay? Jimmy John's sponsors NASCAR and they know what their return investment is on NASCAR and they know if they spend X amount of dollars in this footprint, they're going to get a return on that. Now we signed them and all fast track really quickly because at that time NASCAR wasn't really collecting data. So they came to us and wait a minute, you can give me, I'm getting, 5,000 unique email addresses every week for how many races? That's what we sold our program on. Yeah. And people were always kind of scratching their head well, you won the championship and then your team went away 2 years later. It's it's not about what you do on the track because you know how many times I got a phone call from Jimmy himself at 4:00 in the morning on a Sunday morning and he's rewatching the live feed of the Supercross and he's like, dude, I can't see my fucking logo. What's happening out there? I'm well, I don't know what to tell you. He's well, it's great we're doing the pits, but now NASCAR's doing that as well. And we eventually started to lose sponsors because of shitty TV packages and bullshit with Feld. And that, so long story short, it's funny how we kind of started doing this smoke show literally. And as the program evolved, that smoke show is what got us going with those sponsors and got us to win a championship. And then at a certain point, me and Ricky are like, you know what? I'm kind of done traveling. I'm done going to 25 events a year. And we all have kids now. We're not in our teens anymore, or 20s and 30s, and kind of let her go off the pasture.
Dude, it gets a lot harder than people think, and especially the mechanics. Like, that's the one thing I learned from my couple of years doing the entire circuit with JDR, is that the mechanics are on like no money and doing the craziest job, the craziest travel schedule. Like, it's really hard, even for me as like a dude that was filming these races, to just keep on that grind, man. Like that.
Oh, it's brutal.
That shit's brutal, dude. And like, I remember one day in particular at Budds Creek, and it was like just so fucking hot. And I'm this kid that frothed on motocross my whole life, would have given anything to be at Budds Creek. And I was like, halfway through the season, I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm watching this shit on Fox, and I'm going back in the semi. Yeah. And I watched the motos of Budds Creek my first time there. Yeah. Inside the semi.
Truck.
I was just like, I'm over it.
It's brutal.
It's a grind.
It is. You know, I mean, you know, for us, and it's all race programs, you know, we start the 15th of September. I mean, 15th of September is testing and development and Monster Cup, and you run that all through preseason, and then you got, 32 races between Supercross and outdoor. And when that checker flag flies at Ironman, everybody gets 2 weeks vacation, which basically is the 1st of September, and you start again the 15th of September. And that is repeat for the 10 years we did it. You know, and for me, it was like, I'm trying to sell sponsorship from, you know, June until December. And then, surprise, races start here. And then I was obligated to go to 15 to 16 Supercrosses, another 10 sponsorship appearances. So I was on the road for 25 weekends out of the year. And dude, it's just a grind and stressful.
Yeah, and it's we're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.